What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Thursday, October 12th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the busiest lady in the business, Andrea Renee.
What's good, Greg?
Not my... Ooh! Oh, yeah, all right! Wow, we've struggled, I feel like, for... for Trending Gamer. I feel like we've struggled for so long on a way to respond. That's perfect. That incorporates What's Good Games and everything else.
There we go.
Oh, look at you.
Now I've got it.
Have you doubled an outfit yet? This is still a new outfit, right?
This is a new outfit. Have not doubled an outfit yet.
That's insane. You understand? That's crazy talk that you've never had the same outfit twice in this show. Andrea.
Yes.
How you been?
I've been really good. Very busy. Lots of things in the work, irons in the fire, as it were. Sure. And I'm heading to Tulsa tomorrow morning. Right. Very excited about that. It's Expo, Tulsa Expo, and it's a relatively new con. It's only their second year, but there's certainly not enough cons in that region of the country. 100%. Right now, I think it's just PAX South in Texas. Yeah. So I'm interested to go and see some of my friends. There's some cool game devs that are going and some other media people, some streamers, and a bunch of panels are happening. I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun.
Is all of the What's Good Games girls?
No, it's just me, Britt, and Steimer are going.
Okay, cool.
Alexa had a thing, and then it got canceled last minute, but now she can't get the flight in time, and it's a complicated thing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think I heard you talking to Joey. They just left? Britt and Steimer just left last night from San Francisco?
So we've been working on a top secret project.
Yeah.
So they're coming back again next week. So lots of travel for them, unfortunately, but we have a really cool project that we're hopefully going to get to announce in the next week or so.
When you started on What's Good, did you expect it to be like this?
No.
Yeah?
Did not. When we originally launched What's Good Games, we all agreed at the end of it, if nobody supports us on Patreon, if we're making like a couple $100 a month, at the very least, it's a podcast that we get to do together once a week as friends.
Yeah.
And then the support just was overwhelming, and our community has been so incredible. And I just feel so fortunate that we've been able to expand the kind of content that we're going to do. And I think what we didn't expect was that a lot of people were searching for this kind of content specifically. And, you know, the way we look at it is we're just doing what we love, and we are talking about games the way that we've always talked about games. We just haven't had a platform to do it in this way together.
That's awesome. I'm proud of you guys.
Thanks, Greg.
It's fun to see somebody else doing it. You know what I mean? You guys are so how we were when we started Kind of Funny, and the crazy nights, crazy schedules, going to this, go to every convention we can, blah, blah, blah. So you should have a studio in a year and a half.
Someday. Yeah. Someday we'll have something as glorious as this.
Well, I'll just wait for this to implode, and then you can get this space dirt cheap.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great.
50% off.
Andrea, before we get into anything here on Kind of Funny Games Daily, Billy writes in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, Andrea, I saw your tweet about Amazon. I never trust them with timely delivery of games or consoles. I used to pre-order games from them to get the Prime discount, but would consistently get the game late. Now I opt for Best Buy Gamers Club, as having it to pick it up in the store guarantees I'll get it on time. Also, when I pre-ordered my PS4, it came 2 weeks late. I stand with you on your vow to never pre-order a game or console from Amazon ever again. What the hell happened?
So yesterday I tweeted, received notification my SNES Classic pre-order would be delayed from 9/29 to 11/9. I canceled and will never pre-order from Amazon again.
Gotcha.
So me, like lots of other gamers out there who were able to snag a pre-order, there was it was such a crazy time when the pre-orders were live and then they weren't live, and then the Walmart ones, you got them and then they canceled them. And even now, some of the Walmart and Amazon pre-orders still haven't been shipped or were canceled outright. But if you managed to get one, you felt like, okay, I did it. Success.
Something, yeah.
And then I got the original email saying, okay, we're not going to be able to probably deliver this on launch day. And I was bummed, but I was like, okay, well, if it can come at least like a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, it's not the greatest, but I'll survive.
Yeah.
And then I got the email saying, oh, we need your permission to authorize the delay until November 9th, more than 30 days after the console release. And the thing that's frustrating to me is it's a pre-order. I ordered it in advance so you can make sure to have the stock ready when the release date comes.
Yeah.
And if you can't guarantee that, then why did you even have pre-orders open?
Yep.
And the thing that's frustrating to me the most is that I've tried to pre-order things through Amazon before. Video games, other consoles, controllers. I've never had a successful pre-order experience from Amazon. And it's frustrating because you think, Amazon. They are the biggest shipper in the entire world. They ship more boxes than anybody. Yeah. And please, if there's somebody that ships more boxes, kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Let me know. But I was like, of all the people that could deliver something on time, they offer Amazon Prime now. I could order something right now and have it delivered to my house by the end of the day. Yeah. Because that's how great they are. They could not execute on this. And I was like, okay, Amazon, I love you. I'm still going to buy lots of stuff. Too much stuff.
All your paper towels.
On Amazon, but I will not use them for game products anymore. There's just too many other places to get it.
That's crazy. I've never had a bad experience with them like that. Like I've got my PlayStation 4, my Xbox One, other systems and crap like that. Like I've never had it. And like but I saw your tweet about it. I saw Billy's response. I saw responses to your tweet. Mm-hmm. Like it is something that's happening, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's tough because I got a lot of people like you who wrote back and said, I've never had problems either. But it's just all about your personal experience, and there's just too many other places where I can buy stuff. So when I got the original notification that they were delaying my SNES Classic, and I saw ThinkGeek put up a tweet, "We have them in stock." I immediately bought one from ThinkGeek. 2 days later, it was on my doorstep.
There you go.
Thank you, ThinkGeek.
Suck it, Amazon. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kind of Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday on a variety of platforms. We run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about before giving you some perspective, answering your questions, having your comments, reading your bad PSN names, and having a great time. If you like that, you can watch us record it live at twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Of course, we don't look at the chat. You watching live, your job is to keep us honest. You need to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up, so we can set the record straight at the end for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or listening on podcast services around the globe. No matter where you get the show, thank you for getting the show. Thank you for supporting it. We love you very much. Housekeeping, remember, party mode is up right now on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. It is the Friday the 13th episode. It is 7 of us playing here in the studio, being crazy, yelling. Andrea's in it. Do I kill everybody? Maybe. But you got to go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Give $1 right there. It's
really funny. Andy, you did a fantastic job.
Good job, Andy. There you go. Round of applause for Andy. No, don't clap for yourself, Andy.
The amount of moving parts in this particular party mode was impressive from a post-production standpoint.
It's funny. I've heard since then, Andy's like, man, I hope we never do any of them like that again. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's why we hired you. We said we wanted to do Let's Plays like that.
No, not 7
so
players.
You suck it the fuck up, son, and you're going to make them that way. It'll be live on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames next week. Also, remember, Friday the 13th stream is tomorrow. It is Friday the 13th in the afternoon after Kind of Funny Games Daily. We'll stop working and play Friday the 13th with you, the Kind of Funny best friends, throughout the afternoon. Come watch, hang out. Watch me kill some people. It's Double XP weekend. Can't fucking wait. And then finally, of course, as Andrea brought up, Andrea and What's Good Games is out in Tulsa, Oklahoma this weekend at the Expo. Go see them. But for now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. See, I'm putting a little bit of ghost on it for you there, Andy. 5 items on the Roper Report.
6 items.
6 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Oh, you check. At first, it sounded like you're like the Monster Mash guy. Oh no, still there. Be careful. I remember when we left Podcast Beyond, they started doing the News Ghost, and people did not like the News Ghost. Number 1 on the Roper Report, we have a crossplay update from Phil Spencer, kind of. He's just kind of knocking the ball back to PlayStation's camp. This is from a GameSpot interview. Xbox boss Phil Spencer has provided an update on where things stand with Sony. He told us at the Brazil game show today that Microsoft speaks with Sony all the time, but the conversations haven't amounted to anything, and they may never. Quote, "We talk to Sony all the time. With Minecraft on PlayStation, we have to be one of the biggest games on their platform in terms of sales and gameplay. Same with Nintendo. The relationship with Nintendo on this front has been strong. They've been great supporters and we continue to collaborate with them. But I think Sony's view is different. They should talk about what their view is." End quote. Asked if crossplay between Xbox One and PlayStation 4 is a lost cause, Spencer said he doesn't want to speak for Sony. Nothing is ever set in stone, but the way things are now with Sony makes Spencer believe the company may never come around. Quote, "I have a real struggle making comments about their motivations or timelines. I know there's a certain view that says if my friends have this console, they can't play with people who buy another console. That's a reason they go and buy my console," he said. "That reason is not going to go away. So we're putting Minecraft out there as one of the biggest games on any platform and allowing people to play together regardless of what device they bought. I don't think everybody is going to take the same approach to the ecosystem. So I'm never going to call anything a lost cause, but I think some of the fundamental reasons and certain scenarios, they're not really going away. So I don't know what would change." Speaking generally about the appeal of crossplay, Spencer said it allows multiplayer environments for games to stay rich because the player pools are larger than they otherwise might be. Quote, I think people look at crossplay and say it is better for gamers. If it's better for gamers, I have a hard time thinking why we shouldn't go do this, especially when you're trying to make the gaming business a bigger business. Grow it, get more games, create more opportunity, he said. Especially in the indie space, actually. If you're creating an online indie game and you're going to create 5 shards, that was added to the quote, 5 shards of your game, the Steam version, Xbox Live on PC, Xbox version, the PlayStation version, the Switch version, creates hard matchmaking scenarios. We should help developers not make their lives more difficult. Andrea, what do you think?
I think it's unfortunate that every time something small is said about this issue, it's made into a giant news story. This is not news. This is exactly what he's been saying.
Right.
And we're just bringing it up again because for what reason, I'm not quite sure. Because now we're going to have the same conversation we had the last time we talked about crossplay, where we're going to talk about how, of course, it would be better for the gamers. Yes, it would be easier for the developers. But you know what? Sony doesn't want to give up any market share to their competitors because they're on top. They're still on top. And I don't think that they're going to reconsider their position until they start to slide a little bit.
See, the reason I keep putting it in there is you can start as we track and talk about this. Because what's interesting about Kind of Funny Games Daily is doing it daily, right? That we get to have the same conversations but add this in, everything, is the fact of Phil finally being like, they should talk about what their view is. Sony should talk about what their view is. Also now, the pivoting of messaging a bit to being like, well, it's actually to help indie developers, which is true. If you're making or any developer for that matter, but especially indies who are don't put multiplayer in their games or online so much because, well, how are you going to keep a player pool going? How are you going to keep it going? It's interesting to see how many times Xbox can answer this question, not speak for Sony, still put the onus on Sony to say or do something, but then figure out a new way to say, hey, this is good for gamers.
No, I don't disagree with that. And it's good for gamers. And like I said, good for developers. But as for him, Phil Spencer coming out and saying that is his privileged position to do so as the head of the company. Sony works a little bit different than the way Xbox is structured because of the different heads in the Japanese region, in Europe, and in the Americas. And for them, and obviously now with Andrew House stepping down, who would be the person to say this statement as well? And
last time Jim Ryan went to bat, all he did was say, it's for kids.
My gosh, nightmare.
Fuck, I fucked it up.
But also, what are they going to say? They're going to come out as nothing but the bad guy if they make the statement, which is probably true, that's like, hey, this doesn't make financial sense for us to do, because right now if you want to play multiplayer with your friends on PlayStation, you've got to buy a PlayStation. And so they aren't going to say that because it demonizes them and their kind of image that they have going, because they came out of E3 a couple of years ago on this super high as far as the kind of camaraderie with gamers and the image that they were presenting.
Sure.
And not saying that they've lost that. I don't think that this kind of ongoing debate about should crossplay happen, I don't think that they've come out of it so far being the bad guy, but they will, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just that thing is, I think it'll just always be this. It's just what number 2 would always say versus what number 1 would always say.
Right.
Xbox is trying to catch up and try to have all this gamer goodwill, so of course they're going to make these concessions and be okay with that. Whereas, PlayStation's on top of the mountain. Why would they want to play nice? Why would they want to do any of this stuff? And they don't have to. And so it'll be interesting to just see if this is a question that hangs over this conversation forever, or if they do finally come up with a better stance of families and kids or whatever we're trying to protect. Just be like, no, brass tacks, here's an answer, and squelch it. Because if they never give you a straight answer on why they don't want to do this, then it's going to continue to haunt.
I think the light at the end of the tunnel, though, in this whole conversation is the fact that they have not said anything. Because hopefully what that means is that they're working on a solution, because they haven't come out to say, no, we're sorry, but crossplay just is not part of our future.
Yeah.
Right? They could easily do that if they wanted to, but they haven't.
Well, that would be the biggest thing, right? Imagine at PSX. If it was, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome stage Phil Spencer or whatever, right? And everybody's like, what the? It's like WCW.
That would be such an amazing moment, but I don't think that'll ever happen. But it would be a great, E3 would be the better place for that, right? But that would be the best thing, right?
Especially, and I forget, do you remember off the top of your head who the guy replacing House is?
No, I don't.
We talked about him on the show, obviously.
He's the head of Sony Interactive right now. I would have to look it up.
And he came up with a network background. It doesn't even matter. It's not. What's the even better example? I'm being stupid. Sean Layden. Sean Layden is that for the front-facing for PlayStation, right? I would say him welcome to the stage. They come out, there's a laugh, a hug, a handshake, and like, all right, we've heard the gamers. We figured out a way to make this work that is beneficial for everybody. And it's just like, it's, Minecraft is crossplay. We're letting you on and do that, and you can play with your friends that way.
Right.
I think you can get away from then worrying about Rocket League or,
John
Fortnite
Kodera. That's who's replacing him.
Thank you. But that'd be fascinating. And you want to talk about a fucking moment. And like, that'd be awesome.
It would be a very, very exciting moment.
PSX coming up quick. We'll be there. We'll be doing live shows here and stuff. Remember, meet and greet in San Diego the Monday after. Number 2. We have some South Park tidbits from IGN. Tip of the hat. I'm going to get to both people on this, but I get tip of the hat first to Ryan McCaffrey. He has 2 South Park stories up there on IGN. One of them being a giant interview with people from Ubisoft, Matt and Trey, talking about everything that happened with Stick of Truth 2, Fractured Butthole, and how it happened. He went down there and talked to these guys. And I know Ryan's a big South Park fan too, so good on him for getting that, and then awesome work there. The tidbits, though, from the articles you should go read. Number 1, they'd love to make a South Park first-person shooter, which I thought was interesting. And like, it's totally one of those, like, they say it and then they immediately like, we're not joking. We'd like to do this. And it's like a real quick thing of just walking around town in first person, fucking around. All right, that's interesting.
Sounds like a VR game.
Exactly. Then, in one of the quotes here from Parker, in the Stick of Truth originally, we had Stick of Truth originally, there was a branching out of factions. This is just a fun tidbit if you like Stick of Truth like I did. So you went and did the whole thing with the goth kids. You did the whole thing with Ike and the Pirates. It was all about these factions, and it started to get completely unwieldy in terms of writing and everything. If we understood the DLC concept well enough, he said with a laugh. But we were also making the wrong game, Stone interjected. We tried to make Skyrim starting out. That was not the right game to make. So it got molded down into a more linear story. And then they talk about the fact that, just like the show, they're running up against deadlines and being crazy. So Fractured Butthole will satirize things that happened just 2 or 3 months prior to the game's release. Fractured Butthole, of course, coming out next week. I could not be more stoked because I love Stick of the Truth so much. I was talking to Jen about it. I'm pretty sure that was my game of the year that year that I said. I hung my hat on that one. Are you excited at all?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not a knock on the game. I know a lot of people liked Stick of Truth, and from what I've seen from the Fractured Butthole, it looks good.
Yeah.
It looks like they've, made a lot of advancements in the gameplay mechanics, and they, have a more robust character offering, and, that traditional South Park humor and wit is in the writing, of course. It's just like, as somebody who enjoys the cartoon sporadically, I like how they are very topical with some of their content. The game, though, there's just quite a bit of stuff that's just makes me a little uncomfortable in certain ways that I'm just like, there's just too much else to play. So the other girls are gonna play that game, and I'm gonna focus on Shadow of War and Mario.
Oh, Mario. Can't wait. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited for Fractured Butthole. Get it. Just get it out of the way. Clear. We gotta get a runway cleared for Mario.
Do you think you're going to be able to get it out of the way before Odyssey, though?
100%.
Really?
Yeah.
You think you're going to be able to knock it out in like 30, 40 hours?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm obsessive about that. Like, with Stick of Truth, like, I just stopped and I just played every night until it was done.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to get there. Don't you worry about it.
I'm not worried. If anyone can do it,
if this
Greg
does run into each other, then it'll just have to be that thing where Mario is just portable Switch time, and then it doesn't get a TV until we beat Fractured Butthole. We got to commit. There's got to be rules here.
Okay.
Don't get me started. Now, here's an interesting one. One that made you groan. So we have to start setting up Kinda Funny Games daily rules.
Okay. Yes.
PUBG has broken its own record and now has had on Steam's current concurrent list or whatever, it's hit the 2 million mark of 2 million playing this game at once. This puts it way ahead of people before it like Dota 2, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and Team Fortress 2. You groaned and said, do we have to keep talking about it breaking its own record?
You got to draw the line somewhere. It can't be news all the time.
Sure. But this is a big number, 2 million.
It is.
Because we were 1.45 or whatever last time I think we talked about it, maybe 1.8. I don't fucking know.
And the very first time we talked about this, and I know just on Tuesday I'd looked at press releases about, all the PUBG news. But the first time we talked about it even making the chart, the concurrent chart, neither you nor I ever thought this day would come.
100%.
And it's snowballing.
Yeah.
But it'll hit a wall eventually.
Sure.
But it's really fascinating to watch it grow right now.
So we won't talk about its concurrence until it hits 2.5 million.
I feel like that's going to be. I feel like it's going to be relatively quickly. Here's the thing.
Lay it on me.
Think about it in sports.
Sure.
When a guy makes a home run record, he's got the most amount of rushing yards.
Sure.
He's got the most amount of whatever. They don't keep talking about the record because if he set the record, he's going to keep breaking that record until he retires, right?
Sure.
So, we kind of can't keep talking about this indefinitely.
At 2.5, it'll just be a one-line story. And just be, hey, heads
Greg,
up, this is what's happened.
This is your show. If you would like to make it a
It's
one-line
show.
If you would like to make it a one-line story, you go right ahead.
I'm not going to do that to you. I'm gonna do that. Now, what's important
Maybe Tim will be on. He won't care.
We're wading into a PUBG Fortnite trio of stories here. So that's your first tip of it. Before we get off of the PUBG 2 million, though, the Almighty Footy writes in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD with a question and says, honest question. If it's long, apologies. It isn't long. You should see some of the things people write it. Is PUBG peaking too early? The news from IGN that PUBG just hit 2 million concurrent users on Steam is great and all, but is the hype for this game hitting its pinnacle before it's even a full game? I think most are forgetting that this is still an early access beta, and even when it gets to Xbox, it will still be an early access beta. I'm still excited to try it on console, Xbox gamer here, but with frequent bugs, jank gameplay at times, and server issues plaguing it as of late, do you think PUBG runs the risk of souring its millions or so new users who could try it, like it, but opt to jump ship for other games that adopt the Battle Royale modes that might be more polished, complete versions, compared to PUBG's unfinished state?
I can't remember who I was talking with, but they brought up an interesting point that console gamers in general have a much lower threshold of tolerance for jank in games.
Yeah.
Because generally when a game is sent to certification, it has to go through a rigorous testing to make sure that it's not completely broken before it gets published. PC, on the other hand, doesn't necessarily have those specific benchmarks.
And PC gamers, I think, have been trained through years and years of buying games in early access or getting things off green light that they know that as well.
Right. So I think that it's an important discussion to have because once it does eventually launch on Xbox, and it still is going to be launching in game preview, it's still early access.
Yeah.
That it might not take off as quickly as it did on PC, but it's clearly going to be popular. I'm guessing it's going to sell multiple millions
100%.
in its first, couple of weeks of launch.
I think, we talk about on this show a lot. This is a game of the year. Should it be in the running? All these different things,
No, it
right?
shouldn't.
Well,
For the record, it should
IGN
not.
is still debating that as we had our exclusive quote from Steve Butts. It's the fact that I think only we care about that. I do not think PUBG or Bluehole or PUBG Corp or whatever the fuck it's called now cares one iota how people view the game or whatever.
No.
Almighty Footy you're talking about, it is still an early access beta, blah, blah, blah.
That being said, we have had people write into the show before to say, of course, devs care about what people think of their game.
I'm saying I don't think they're as hung up on, are we game of the year? No, they're excited to be making 2 million concurrents and having a community
They're
that's
Scrooge
excited.
McDucking over there.
Exactly. Is it peaking too early? I don't think so at all. I think actually this is the best marketing they could have going into the Xbox version. And I think the fact that you've had now months and months and months of people talking about this. And think about it. This is a PC game that's permeated a Kind of Funny show, and that's not who we are. We're not that kind of thing. But we've played it. Tim loves it. I'm excited for it on Xbox. I think it's one of those where the foundation has been set that when people do get it on Xbox, they are going to expect some jank. They are going to expect weird, issues, and it's not going to be as smooth as Call of Duty or whatever the hell they're worried about.
I don't think they will.
Really?
I think the people who are going to buy it, the vast majority of them will not be expecting jank.
Really?
I really do.
No way.
Yeah.
They have to.
No, because how often have you booted up a game and expected it to be janky when you started playing on your console?
Rare. It's rare.
I've never started playing a game expecting it to be janky. Not
Friday
once.
13th.
Well,
All right.
I only expected that to be janky because there were reports of it being broken.
Just like there's reports of PUBG being janky.
But we don't know what the PUBG code on Xbox, the final code, is going to look like. That's the thing.
It's going to be a watered down PC code. That's why it's probably going to be more janky than the PC version.
Gosh, it better not be.
I don't know what the power of the X.
I'm sure Microsoft didn't pay all that money to make it exclusive.
They better be optimizing the shit out of that fucking thing. But yeah, I don't think it's peaking too early. I think it's a groundswell right now, and I think it's going to be another huge breaking point for them when they get to console to see how much it sells and goes.
Yeah, it'll be. I think its performance on Xbox will be very interesting to track and to watch. I think what will be more interesting to see what happens when it eventually comes to PlayStation 4.
Sure.
Merely because their install base is just so dramatically larger than Xbox is worldwide right now.
We've talked about it a few times. I think it'll go juggernaut status on PlayStation 4 as well. Because I think it will be the fact that I've played it. I've now bought it on PC. I'm going to buy it on Xbox One. And then when it comes to PlayStation 4, I'll buy it there to get trophies. And I feel like, and not to be, but play with the ecosystem and all that jazz. I feel like there'll be a lot of people who do that too. Because I don't think, and I know we don't agree, I don't think people are going to jump in on the Xbox version and be like, oh my God, like, unless it's really fucked up. Unless it's like really, really fucked up. I don't think people are going to jump in and be like, oh, I'm turned off to this. I don't know what's happening.
Microsoft wouldn't let that happen. Yeah. Xbox would not allow it to publish if it was really fucked up. Like, they're better than that. They would not allow it to go. They would delay it, if anything. If they looked at the code and they're like, okay, listen, this is just not ready, they would push the launch back.
Okay. We'll see what happens.
I guess we will.
Stay tuned, everybody. Number 4, and this is a long one, but I want to, and I'm stealing it from Kotaku. This is Epic is suing Fortnite cheaters. This is the story written by Cecilia D. Anastasio. Nailed it.
I have a beef with one of the lines in this story, but go ahead.
Sure, I want you to shout it out when you get there. But I'm reading this. I'm stealing this from Kotaku. Go give them a page view at some point. On Tuesday, Fortnite publisher Epic Games filed civil complaints against 2 alleged associates of the website Addicted Cheaters, who apparently used the site's aim botting services to kill Twitch streamers live on camera.
Right there. Why would you say that? Because you're making it sound like they're killing people live on Twitch, and that's not what happened. That's the wrong way to use the grammar there. That's the wrong word to use. Come on, write better.
Damn. Fuck, man. You went right at it. Jesus. I
did.
All right.
I'm a little surly this morning. I apologize.
But it's just one thing. It's a great article, and it's one line. You man, to beat Twitch. How would I say it? You know, apparently use the site's aimbotting services to, kill Twitch streamers live on camera. Live on camera. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. In game. To kill Twitch streamers in game.
You could use the word like eliminate. And sure. then there's no question about what's happening to the players. No one's getting murdered on Twitch.
Yeah, but I mean, you bring up a good point. But aren't we also? I mean, as somebody who did the journalism
AP style
thing,
guide is something for a reason.
Sure. Well, I know. Okay, of course. But like, it's the fact of like who's walking into this article thinking they're actually getting murdered on camera. Be a different headline.
I'm being nitpicky for the sake of being nitpicky.
I know, but here's the thing: as soon as any of us in this industry pick up a rock and throw it through our glass house, it's coming right back at us.
Oh, I've been dodging those rocks my entire career. Okay, it's fine.
All right, back to the story. For $5 to $15 monthly subscriptions, Addicted Cheats botting services aid players in tracking, aiming at, and killing enemies in PvP games. To architect cheats for Fortnite's new Battle Royale mode, which now boasts over 10 million players, the cheat makers would have to reverse engineer and modify the game's source code. In a civil complaint, Epic Games argues that making and using that altered game-breaking code is against the Fortnite's end-user license agreement and the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Quote, in using cheat software to modify the game's code in this way, the complaint reads, defendant and other cheaters who use the cheat code unauthorized derivative works based on Fortnite in violation of the Copyright Act. According to the complaints, both defendants offer technical support for addictedcheats.com and with cheats the site provides, monitor streams and intentionally prevent streamers from winning. This practice, which is known as stream sniping, has been a semi-frequent and much derided fad among the player unknown or the PUBG community, a game that Fortnite's new Battle Royale mode expressly took some cues from. While Battlegrounds explicitly forbids cheating and stream sniping in its rules of conduct, Fortnite's only explicitly forbids cheating. One defendant has been banned from playing Fortnite 9 times. In response, he allegedly registered several other accounts with different names to continue playing Fortnite and stream sniping. According to the complaint, when asked why he stream snipes, the defendant said, quote, because it's fun to rage and see streamers cry about how loaded they are and then get them stomped anyways, end quote. When Epic Games altered Fortnite's code to prevent further cheating, the second defendant allegedly leveled up the Fortnite cheat, adding, quote, now method is exposed, Epic eat my ass, end quote, over Discord chat. Both defendants declined to comment. Over Addicted Cheats Discord channel, an affiliate said they're not offering refunds to Fortnite cheaters who purchased their services. When reached for comment, Epic Games said, quote, when cheaters use aim bots or other cheat technologies to gain an unfair advantage, they ruin games for people who are playing fairly. We take cheating seriously and will pursue all available options to make sure our games are fun, fair, and competitive for players.
who are you applauding here?
Epic, go get them. Fuck these kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not applauding the eat my ass Epic guy.
Good.
No, this is so weird and cool and interesting and different. And that's why I wanted to read the whole thing, was just context of it. When I saw the headline, I'm like, well, this can't be what it sounds like. And then I read through it, I'm like, no, man, they're fucking suing these guys for cheating, and not cheating in the game as if they were just cheaters, going in and altering their source code and fucking around and like really pinning them down on the TOS we all click through and don't read. I was like, all right, go get them.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes me angry and confused and frustrated when I see quotes like, because it's fun to rage and see streamers cry about how loaded they are and then get them stomped anyways. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's so gross. That's the best thing you have to do with your time?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Play the game and have fun. People just want to, let people enjoy video games. Don't get in there. Don't aimbot. Don't stream snipe. Just have fun. Go play. I was just playing Friday the 13th. It was fun. Just play with people.
These people need friends. Maybe they need a hug or something.
They definitely need a hug, and I'll give it to you.
He's a good hugger.
PSX, whatever I gotta do. But yeah, no, shout out to Epic Games. I was like, all right, cool. Most people just like ban players, toss them out, and they're like, no, fuck you, we'll sue you. I'm like, all right, well, get them. Now here we go. I told you we were leading into something. These were the prequels. Now Cecilia's back over at Kotaku talking about Fortnite versus PUBG. Not so much versus, but talking about things we talk about on the show all the time, but actually going through and talking to people rather than just hypothesizing like we always do. Rejoin the article in progress. Since Fortnite's Battle Royale mode release, there's been a feeling of competition among the two games, which is made awkward by the fact that developer Epic Games made the engine Battlegrounds runs off of. On its first day, over 1 million players flooded Fortnite's new mode. The game's Twitter account bragged. About a week later, Fortnite's player account exploded to 7 million, and in a few days, its Twitter account would boast hitting 525,000 peak concurrent users. 2 days later, Battlegrounds dev player unknown would screenshot his game's 2 million peak concurrent users for a Twitter post, and 20 minutes later, Fortnite would announce that 10 million people have played its Battle Royale mode. Tit for tat, Andrea. Punch for punch. It's going. Neither developer would comment on whether there's an ongoing conversation between them. Jay Shreds, who moderates the Fortnite Battle Royale subreddit, says he's seen an overwhelming number of posts on the subreddit from Battlegrounds veterans, indicating that some players have jumped ship. He gave Battlegrounds a spin a while back, but, quote, never really got hooked due to some stability issues, he said, referring to the game's known connectivity issues. With Fortnite, he was really hopeful they'd be able to bring what other Battle Royale games like PUBG and the culling have been able to do well and integrate it with a lighter, friendlier, and generally sillier environment. Since the Battle Royale mode came out, Jay Shreds has completely forsaken the game's main mode for it. That friendlier environment extends to Fortnite Battle Royale's learning curve. Redditor Finally Rage, who plays both Battlegrounds and Fortnite's Battle Royale mode, says that it took him several Battlegrounds games to land a kill. With Fortnite, it took him just one. Quote, PUBG is slower paced. It has a huge learning curve, and half the time I don't know why I died. In Fortnite Battle Royale, it's much easier to spot people and more of an action shooter. It's a lot easier to get started in, he told me. Also, he said Fortnite's games are faster, meaning he can play around during a lunch break. It's unlikely that Fortnite will match Battlegrounds' record-breaking number of concurrent users, but its rapid expansion in popularity says something about accessibility. Free, easy to gronk, and on several platforms, Fortnite's Battle Royale mode is grabbing players who, for various reasons, felt disenfranchised with Battlegrounds or couldn't play despite its use of the ideas we've seen before. Have you played any more Battle Royale Fortnite?
I have. I played it yesterday.
Yeah? Are you hooked? Are you in?
I'm not hooked yet. Because the reason I love Fortnite is the base building and the tower defense mechanics.
Yeah.
Which there's like a tiny smidgen of that in the Battle Royale mode. But I haven't played enough rounds yet to really get a grasp on like the deeper level mechanics. What's tough about this particular style of gameplay is you can either spend a lot of time learning within a match or you're dead and then you have to start over.
Right.
It's all about chance. I mean, obviously it's about skill as well. And it's an interesting wrinkle in the gameplay with the scavenging for materials, because in PUBG you're just like walking into buildings or you kill people to scavenge stuff. But in Fortnite, like you can tear down buildings, you can tear down trees, and you can build stairways up to secret areas. And I find that much more engaging.
Yeah.
What I would love to see is if they built in some kind of objective into the map to make it more than just find people and kill them. Because to me, that gameplay gets so stale after a while. I can't keep doing it. And so I would like some kind of either team-based element or some kind of objective to take.
Yeah.
Some kind of capture the flag-esque thing built in to make it a little bit more intriguing from a gameplay perspective.
I still haven't played it, and it's just because there's too much to play right now, I feel like. But like this article, again, tip of the hat to Cecilia, like bringing all these different comments and talking to you, and I know you've tried to sell me on it before and you got me the code and all this stuff, and I still need to just download and do it. But it's that thing of like, it sounds really cool. Like this sounds what they're talking about, like friendlier, fun, more kills, because that is the thing with PUBG where it is, I get what I'm supposed to do, but I also know that, and I've had it do, where I come down to one of the final 3 people and I'm like, well, my console fucking shooter skills are not going to come in here. I'm going to get blasted by these guys who've done this a million times.
Yeah.
Whereas with Fortnite, I feel like I have a fighting chance. However, I don't know if I want to go do all the building stairs to stuff and do all these different things.
You don't have to, though.
Okay.
It's all about choice. We had a fun match yesterday where I was doing duos with Steimer, and like I was watching her back while she was scavenging something. But then out of nowhere, we both got like rocketed because there are rocket launchers in that game.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a bunch of things that are really intriguing and interesting about that game that I haven't been drawn to in PUBG yet. But in fairness, I have not played PUBG with a crew. I haven't got in with a squad yet.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people prefer to do.
Yeah.
But I just, I like Fortnite.
You'll do an Xbox One.
I'm waiting. PUBG's coming to Xbox One soon. Hopefully not janky.
Soon isn't now, though, Andrea.
True.
If I wanted to know what came to the mom and grop shops, where would I go?
You would go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform, as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, Yono and the Celestial Elephants. Switch for sure. But I thought they made a big deal about this being one of their exclusives. I don't know, but Switch for sure. PC, according to that website you sent me to. So I'm like, all right. I believe you, I guess. Wolverblade is on Switch. The Flame and the Flood Complete Edition is on Switch. Neochrome is on Switch. Sociable Soccer is on Early Access on Steam. Square Boy vs. Bullies Arena Edition is on Switch. The King of Fighters 95 is on Switch. Etrian Odyssey 5 Beyond the Myth is on 3DS. Unbox Newbie's Adventure is on the Switch. Little Adventure on the Prairie is on the Nintendo 3DS. Volgar the Viking is on the Wii U. Legend of Hero Tanma is on Wii U. Digital Champ Battle Boxing is on the Wii U. And Moto Rotor is on the Wii U. In terms of new dates, it's finally fucking happening. Life is Strange, Before the Storm,
Yay!
Episode 2, October 19th.
So ready.
Wait. Episode 1 was so good.
It was very good.
Better than it had any right to be, I'd say. Prequel, no powers, different voice cast, played it. This is fucking awesome. I can't wait for more.
And Alexa Ray broke down a very interesting theory about the incorporation of the play The Tempest in that episode. We did a spoiler cast on episode 1 on What's Good Games. If you're interested, you can check it out.
But I want to know now.
Well, it's a complicated theory.
Oh, okay,
it would take me a while for me to translate it all. And
okay.
It would probably be best.
It's worth a listen.
It is. I mean, we spent like a solid 30 to 45 minutes talking about it.
Okay. Well, I hope you're ready to talk for 35 minutes about loot crates, because it's time for reader mail.
Dang it.
No, it won't be bad. Remember, be part of the show, kindafunny.com/KFGD. Yesterday, we talked again about loot crates. Then, in You're Wrong, people tried to editorialize and argue. To my credit, You're Wrong is always like, oh, just tell me the facts, so I'm always cutting you off. I was a bit too flippant, and then I tried to build an argument as I was running down the thing. So
I heard it.
We tore the community in half. Not really. Everybody's super respectful and understanding of how this works. But we're going to kick it to the Ben Como, who writes in and says, Greg and Andrea, hi.
Hi.
I was told to wait for you to answer. Yesterday, I wrote in the You're Wrong section of the show about your loot box comparison to Capsule Machine, which you shot down with great vengeance and furious anger. ... I was wrong. This clearly wasn't the right outlet to have a meaningful discussion about this. So, if you'd bear with me in talking about loot boxes one more time, after discussing it on the Kinda Funny Facebook group all night, I think it's a hill worth dying on. First off, this isn't about the definition of gambling and how it applies or not. Arguing about semantics has proven to be useless. Believe me, we tried. The truth is, it doesn't matter if it's theoretically gambling or not. Without getting into too much details, research on gambling addiction shows that the excitement drawn from the uncertainty, randomness, chance, is the determining factor in making people addicts, not the potential win or loss. When you buy a loot box, this excitement triggers norepinephrine, we'll say, to be secreted, which is the main biological problem for gambling addict. It's literally like a drug addict getting his fix. That being said, can we at least agree that loot boxes can be detrimental to people with addiction problems? If so, then it is, by definition, the ESRB's mission to, quote, empower consumers, especially parents, with guidance that allows them to make informed decisions about age appropriateness and suitability of video games and apps while holding the video game industry accountable for responsible marketing practices, end quote. Therefore, wouldn't it be in the ESRB's mandate to warn consumers about games that could be detrimental to a group of consumers like children or people with gambling addictions or addiction problems? At the very least, shouldn't there be a warning on the box? Even the goddamned App Store has plus in-app purchases warning on the download page. When I boot games, sometimes they'll tell me that light patterns could cause seizures for people with epilepsy. About 1% of Americans have epilepsy. The National Council on Problem Gambling estimates that about 1% of the population are pathological gamblers, and an additional 2 to 3% would be considered problem gamblers, people whose gambling affects their everyday lives. If people with epilepsy get a warning, shouldn't people with gambling addictions get the same courtesy? I agree that ultimately people are responsible for managing their addiction problems, but for this to be possible, they need to be informed. This isn't like an alcoholic deciding to go to a bar. Loot boxes are not an integral part of games. They are added on tops, sometimes creating a wall of extra content. It would be like watching a movie that asked me to take a shot of vodka to access an alternate ending. These things don't have to be linked at all. This isn't what you signed up for when you bought the game. In closing, I don't think loot boxes should be illegal or treated as gambling. I do think there is something important the ESRB should be looking at and regulating before news channels and politicians start accusing video games of ruining people's lives because of that one example of someone who will inevitably spend thousands of dollars they don't have on loot boxes instead of on food for their kids. Then we'll all say it's not the video game's fault, it's a mental health issue. And it will be true, but it doesn't mean there's nothing that could have been done about it beforehand. Thank you for your great work, the Ben Coma. P.S. This is my first time writing in. Feel free to edit, cut, editorialize if needed. Didn't need to. Great job, Ben Coma.
2 things. 1, we forgot an item from the report. When do you want to address that, now or later?
Let's do this whole loot box thing and then we'll double back to that.
Great. It was a really interesting conversation that you and Tim were having yesterday.
Right.
And even though your analogy at the end of the show was a little hard to follow, I agree with you when you mentioned it's about personal responsibility.
Right.
I think, however, that the Ben Coma brings up a good point. It wouldn't be that difficult to say this game has in-game transactions.
Yeah.
As a warning label on the box, on the loading screen before the game loads up, in the digital store where you hit the download button, like before you hit download, it just
heads
pops
up.
up.
A warning of this is what you're about to get into.
This game includes in-game transactions. I don't think that that's something that's unreasonable to add in. And I think that that should be added in and no one should make any qualms about that.
Here. I agree with that. Like, and that's the whole thing. Is like, I'm not loot box fan number 1. I don't fucking buy them for the most part, unless I, one time in Destiny, and then when I was trying to get my Spider-Gwen thing, which was a stupid way to do it because I could have bought it from the person over there. Doesn't matter. I digress. I'm not like super pro loot boxes. It's just this thing that I feel like in this argument it's kind of fun because it's just video games and it's all of us who love video games talking about how to handle this situation, this thing. Everything you just said, everything he just said makes sense. I think it makes sense, but it's when we're arguing about is it gambling, is it not gambling? How does this work? It's about personal responsibility, but I'm not against there being a warning of like, yeah, the ESRB doesn't rate it based on that, doesn't call it gambling based on that, but says plus in-game transactions. There is something there. You do need to be aware if that's a trigger for you. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Now, I have a follow-up from Dino the Dino. Dino the Dino writes into kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, hey, KFGD crew. I wanted to share some perspective about my struggle as a former whale and why I'm not against blind boxes as a concept. A few years ago, I spent roughly $2,000 over the course of a year on pointless free-to-play mobile games to get better cards to clear more difficult content. I'm not wealthy. I would remind myself constantly of how that money could be used more wisely, but the regret I would feel eventually faded and the idea of spending a few bucks would no longer make my stomach turn. That, and the joy of getting what you want, is a literal high. Nothing I'm saying here is particularly insightful when defining the mental lawlessness of addiction, but the fact that I had to confront this was my own fault. The publishers have discovered a way to essentially remove the spending cap per copy of their game sold, and, of course, they are aware that this takes advantage of addictive tendencies. However, the solution to this problem is education. That's how I got out of my hole. I learned the psychology of addictive behavior, parentheses, putting words to feelings is seriously underrated. I learned how to budget my money, and I learned how to hold myself accountable through planning and goals. I still play one of these games daily, but I haven't spent a cent in over a year. The game didn't change to address my behavior. I changed. Don't get me wrong. I believe the concept of blind boxes is totally different from the implementation of blind boxes, which has been troubling this season. But if the primary concern is addiction, I'm here to say yes. Blind boxes can be addictive, and it's your fault. I think what makes loot boxes and microtransactions so distasteful to me in $6 single-player games is breaking the fourth wall. I don't want to think about my bank account when slaying orcs, damn it. Love the show, Dino the Dino. So someone who's struggled with this before, I feel on the same page of what we're saying and what the Ben Como's saying in terms of like, it's about responsibility. It's about this. I get so many people wrote into Kind of Funny Games Daily, and as usual, you were all great. You know what I mean? Because I know the chat was lively. Cool Greg, when we ended, was like, damn, I've never seen the chat like this, where they were like yelling at each other, yelling at me, yelling at what everything. I read through all of them, obviously. I read through every Kind of Funny Games Daily question that comes through. I understand it's about... they don't want to sneak in as a Trojan horse. That seems to be everybody's big concern, is the fact of when I was trying to figure out how to say this or whatever. It's like, I think Ben Como yesterday said like, well, this is like, alcoholics there's not a box in their room for alcoholics screaming to drink, which is what this would be if you were a gambling addict or you had those tendencies that you buy this game thinking it doesn't have that or whatever, and you get in and suddenly it does. I feel like, yeah, education's part of it, recognizing that you have a problem with it. I don't know how many times gamers have had to do that, unless you've had an experience here where you are a whale, where you spend $2,000 on a game you didn't think you'd spend $2,000 on. I don't know how many times, how to address that, how to find that in yourself, in a gamer out there. But I guess warning you on the box would be the first step to doing it.
Yeah, I think the warning is the easiest step that I think all parties could agree to.
Yeah.
It would be great if they could go one step further and maybe keep a running tally of how much money you've spent in the game, because it's really easy, especially if you buy, like an iTunes card or a Google Play card, and you like plunk the credits into your account, that you just like the money just disappears. It's like they sometimes kind of seem like fake credits almost, but
sure, totally.
But it's really like, no, that money's coming from somewhere.
Right.
So I mean, if people really wanted to have, another step into oversight, maybe keeping part of your profile, it shows you how much you've spent.
Sure.
On a running basis. I mean, I know most people would probably want to hide that because they don't want to like face the reality of how much money they've spent.
And that's the problem, though. You can't. If we're going to address this problem like adults, if we want to solve it ourselves and not have government regulations and not have some politician freak out one day about it, it needs to be that you accept the hard facts. You look at the hard data. You do understand that, like, for me, it's, oh man, I got $50 or I got, usually it's like, I got I got $63.13 in my PlayStation account. I should buy, wait, no, that's money I put into my PlayStation account. But it started as $100 and I've whittled it down to that already. It's not just free play money for me to go make whatever I want with it.
Yeah.
We got to be adults about it if we want to solve it. And we can't support it if you don't want to support it. That's the big thing. Andrea, you added a Roper Report item. I skipped it because I already printed out before you added. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's all right. But it's kind of a big one, so I thought it was worth discussing and talking about. Please and I'm sorry I didn't catch you before we went to the official list of upcoming software. But so this broke a little bit, I think broke midday yesterday, so I think this is why you guys missed it on the show. It's a 2-part Oculus story, because Oculus Connect is happening here in the Bay Area this week. And so the big 2 parts are, part 1, Oculus has announced the new Oculus GO. So according to their website, effortlessly, that's the word. Enter VR with no PC or wires attached. Oculus GO is an all-in-one VR headset made to fit you, designed with breathable fabric, adjustable straps, and our best lenses yet, starting at $199. So
$200?
$200. On Polygon's site, they wrote, Oculus head of VR, Hugo Barra, described the Go headset as the sweet spot between PC and mobile virtual reality experiences. Barra described the headset as super lightweight and a leap in both comfort and visual clarity. On the hardware front, the Oculus Go will include a fast switch LCD display with 2020 resolution, 2560 by 1440 resolution, and next-gen lenses with reduced glare, and it will include integrated audio. The audio drivers are built right into the headset, which makes perfect for getting in and out of VR much faster and easier to share with another person. So this is interesting because
it's fascinating.
It's half the price of the Oculus Rift.
Right, yeah.
So that's quite a big price jump. It makes it much more approachable for people who are looking at the price tag for virtual reality, saying not only is the hardware itself expensive, but then the PC to go with it is expensive, or even people looking at PSVR who maybe don't have a PS4 Pro or just working with a PS4. They're like, well, I've got to buy the motion controllers, then I have to have the camera and all of this.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit of a price tag. Plus you have to buy the games.
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting idea because I think one of the major reasons why VR hasn't really taken off the way some people predicted it was is because it's a cumbersome experience to 100%. Get in and out of.
Yeah.
And you really have to commit to it. You have to make sure everything's set up properly and calibrated. And then once you have the headset on, you need to be like planning to be in there for a little while, because otherwise, why are you doing all the work and setting everything up?
Sure.
Which is why a lot of people still haven't tried VR. So this is an interesting idea. I mean, clearly Facebook spent a lot of money buying Oculus, and I think we still have yet to see where VR is going to go overall, not just in video games. So I was really intrigued to see that they're offering this at $199 and that you don't need a PC to play it.
That's the biggest part, right? Because you're hitting the nail on the head, I think. Whereas like when my mom came over and used my Wii the first time, she's like, this is so much fun. And like, it's just that and this. Yeah. Oh, can I get one? Sure. And you got it for Christmas or whatever, right? Whereas when she came over and used PlayStation VR, it's like, oh, this is so cool. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, how does it all work? And I'm like, well, you buy the headset and you buy these things and you got that over there. The camera doesn't kind of, it's like, oh,
and then you got to put the chair this many feet away.
And it's like, no, this is way too much stuff. I don't want to do this at all. And you understand that.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And so the second part of this announcement was a software announcement to go with the hardware. Respawn Entertainment, formerly Infinity Ward employees, made Titanfall. On their website, they said, while the game remains a secret, spoiler, it's not Titanfall or Star Wars, our relationship with Oculus is now out in the open. There are so many cool parts to making a game in VR, but perhaps the most intense one is emotion. While you know you're wearing a headset, your brain processes VR on an emotional level. Though you're in a simulation, you feel like you're there. It's all kinds of awesome. So as a developer, game assets you've seen 100 times on a monitor suddenly become real when you put the headset on. The sense of scale, the sense of presence, there's nothing else like it. It's the difference between using your mouse to rotate an object in an editor and walking around it in real life. It is a true privilege to build a game in this kind of immersive world. We need to go dark again, but we can't wait to tell you more about our game. So they released a little video to go with this announcement yesterday.
Yeah.
Showing Vince Zampella and some other members of the studio talking about their history making shooters and how they're super excited to partner with Oculus and how they really want to create an immersive experience that feels like you're like on the front lines, like with a gun in your hand. And it felt very much like a war-inspired experience based off the language they were using.
And their legacy, too, you figure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's hard to tell like what exactly this game is going to be, but it's clearly going to be a shooter of some kind.
Nice.
And with what we've seen from Respawn, I mean, this is pretty exciting news. Because right now, I haven't seen another game of this type that's, been announced for VR yet.
The best part about it, I think... Well, I mean, there's a lot of things about it, but it's the fact of like, so many of us will take a chance for $200. With the original Oculus with Vive and stuff like that, I was like, well, my PC can't do it. I'm not going to bother doing this, blah, blah. And even I know people have been the same way with PlayStation and VR, just like we talked about. But for it to be like, all right, cool. There's let's say the Respawn game is great. It's $200. Will you ever use it again? I don't know, but I don't use this that much, or I don't use this other piece of tech I bought that much. Like, why not jump in and see what actually happens with it? It'll be interesting because Oculus has been quiet. Once the Facebook acquisition happened, it was like, oh man, like they're gonna be off to the races. And then VR in general has been rocky this first wave.
Yeah, it's been really fascinating, kind of watching how they've evolved since I originally saw VR, several years ago. Now this game is slated to come out in 2019, so it's still like quite a ways away. I think the biggest problem that VR is maybe facing right now is that the hardware launched too soon. That there just isn't enough from a software perspective, that the library just isn't robust enough to justify the price tag.
Sure.
And VR enthusiasts might disagree with me and say, well, what about this game, or this experience? And I would say those are great, but like the price tag is still a big ask for gamers, and especially when the releases for VR and few are far between. We read the game releases every week here on this show.
Yeah.
And how many times are we reading a VR game?
It's rare, and it's more like how many times we're reading a VR game we're excited about, or someone's excited about, that there's like a big thing.
That's an even better point.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure we talked about
totally,
this.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I missed it yesterday, after Games Daily into the Game Over Greggy show, and then didn't see it on the rounds this morning. Good job, Andrea Renee.
Teamwork.
Final question, which isn't a question at all, comes from Steven Spoon of Able Gamers. He wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD to answer a question from yesterday. Yesterday, a person wrote in why is PlayStation partnering for these smaller controllers? And we were like, some people want them. It's just a licensing business. Let them do whatever they want. They're classic. They're this, they're that. But the question literally was, who's asking for these? Steve writes in and says, "Hi, Greg. I happened to catch the question about smaller controllers on your afternoon show yesterday. Quote, smaller controllers, end quote, are requested through Able Gamers a few times a week. It's actually a lot more common than you might think. People who have dwarfism in particular cannot fully utilize standard size controllers. Also, anyone who has had a stroke or has contractures in their hands will often experience pain attempting to grasp a DualShock or an Elite controller. In order to serve those gamers who experienced pain attempting to hold a standard size controller, we often print 3D controllers at a smaller size or purchase one of the off-the-shelf miniature controllers such as the Power A. While they are not as durable due to their size, these smaller controllers are fantastic because they allow gamers who are usually in pain to experience the games they love pain-free. Anyone in your audience who is experiencing pain from trying to hold a full-size controller can contact us at ablegamers.com or reach out to me on Twitter at Steven Spoon, at STEVENSPOHN.
Steven Spawn.
Why has no one ever corrected me before?
I don't know.
That's upsetting.
They do fantastic work over at Able Gamers. I am on their advisory board and love working with them. And I'm really glad that he wrote in because when I heard you guys talking about this yesterday, I thought of a bunch of reasons why people would want a smaller controller. Maybe you're like me and you have weird miniature hands. You know?
Do you struggle with the full-size controllers?
I mean...
Because that was even the guy who wrote in was like, I have friends who have small hands and they're always like, oh, the DualShock feels good in it.
I mean, it does feel much better now. I did not like any of the previous DualShocks before DS4, but I think, once you play with it enough, you can get used to it, but I have the privilege of not having a disability in my hands.
Of course,
and unlike the people that he's referring to and saying, maybe you can't get used to it. Maybe you have, a disorder or an injury or something that's happened to you and you just will never be able to hold a controller of that size.
Yeah.
So
I love Able Gamers. Hit them up, ablegamers.com. But now it's time to squad up. This is where one of you writes into kindafunny.com/KFGD. You give me your name, your platform, your username, and what you need help in the gaming world. I read it here. Best friends find you. Y'all play together and have a good time. Today, Sinan writes in, needs help on Switch. Switch username is, Jesus, stick with it, SW-5963-6392-2994. SW59, I'm just kidding. Cyan writes in and says, hi guys, thanks for doing this. I just discovered there is a Dutch Splatoon 2 championship. You can enter solo and get a team through random, or you can sign up with a team as your own. Well, solo random does not really seem a viable option. Thus, I am looking for 3 other Dutch Splatoon players. You have to be Dutch. It's because of the rules. As I am looking for like-minded people and age, I wonder if you guys could help me out. So please, if there are any Dutch Kinda Funny Splatoon 2 players, then let's hook up this weekend and see if we can stand a chance and ink the shit out of the championship. We'll use the Kinda Funny clan tag, Winky Emoticon. Dank Joel. It means thank you. Hopefully, it will work out. I'll make a Reddit post as well. P.S. He's really trying to sell himself. I was S rank in all modes, but since I stopped playing for a few weeks, it automatically drops me to A+ ranks. Main weapon, all 3 sloshers. So, if you are Dutch and you want to go win the Splatoon championship with Scion, you go to SW596363922994. Seriously, Nintendo. Jesus, let them just use names. You know what I mean? What could ever go wrong if you let people pick their usernames?
Oh, everything, Greg.
Oh, that's right. Here's a returning segment. Please, Shuhei, let them change their names. If you didn't know, you have bad PSN names. Many of you. It's called the worst PlayStation Network name of the week, we'll say. Shuhei Yoshida hates you and won't let you change your name on the PSN. So we read the bad ones here so you can yell at him and he knows that, hey, man, this is bad. Today, Thomas writes in from New Zealand, which he points out is not in Europe. I forget the real name of the segment, but playing Shadow of War this evening, it was suggested I go avenge the death of, yes, in all caps, Thick Dick 69. THICC-DICC-69. Come on, Shu. Let us change our names. Andrea?
Yes, Greg.
What did we get wrong today?
Well, let me refresh the page in case something new came in.
Of course, if you're watching live when we record it on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, your job is to go to kindafunny.com/you're-wrong. Tell us what we screwed up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody on youtube.com/kindafunnygames or podcast services around the globe.
So this first one is interesting because it refers to Tim's statement about EA being lazy with the FIFA 18 port from yesterday.
Sure.
But he wants to do a Greg rant. So I would say
you're wrong.
I would say, listen, if you want Greg to read a rant, you got to write into KFGD.
For the record, we went really long today because it was a very good show. But I had a couple people writing in about NBA 2K18 and FIFA. So like it's in here. People Burry liked FIFA on Switch. He said, "Is it perfect? No. Is it as good as the others? No, but it's good." And then also, Amazing A wrote in about NBA 2K18 saying it runs well on Switch as well.
Basically, his point is it might not be optimized. It might be a better word. I'm like, well, if it's not optimized, it means somebody didn't do the optimization work, hence they're lazy. But lazy may be a little bit of a cutting word that we could probably fix.
I don't like throwing that out of people.
Okay. Correction, Greg can't beat South Park before Odyssey. Just look at his Persona 5 progress.
But Persona 5, is much longer. I'll be fine. I'll beat it. Because when you find a game that hooks you and gets you, you're hooked. Persona 5 is really good.
This one is interesting. So CMC Carthico says South Park already made an FPS game, just titled South Park. It was on the N64 and then the PlayStation, and you had to fight aliens, turkeys, and more through various levels in the town.
My question, though, would be how involved are Trey and Matt?
They probably weren't involved in that game.
Because that was the big thing with Fracture, Stick of Truth. Is that there's been South Park games and they all suck because we didn't do it, so we're making
South
this
Park
game.
Let's Go Tower Defense was excellent. Xbox Live Arcade. Check it out.
Check it out. Is it backwards compatible?
I don't think so, which makes me sad. I would play that right now if I could. All right, let's go. According to PlayStationLifestyle.net, Dirty Platypus says, South Park The Fractured But Whole will be 8 to 12 hours long, so Greg should be able to finish it before Mario.
Crush it. See, that's a reasonable amount of time to play a game.
12? That seems short.
Make your game. Do your thing. Get out.
All right. He starts this out with not a correction. So I'm
Jesus God, guys.
So I'm not going to read that one. Just wanted to hear your discussion on Jank. That's not what Real Wrong is for. Capitalist Pig says, Yono and the Celestial Elephant is listed as a console exclusive, which is why it is on PC as well. Tricky marketing, Twitch talk strikes again.
Capitalist Pig gets it.
He does. He's excellent at Euro.
Okay.
Well, his avatar is a man. Remember, he's the one that looks like John Vignacchi.
Thank you. Sorry. I know that we know him. Obviously, we read him on the show every day. He's great at this. Thank you. Maybe we should just give him the job. He can just call in and tell us what we got wrong. He could be the stat boy. Maybe we should try that on a day. Skype him in the back and see how it goes.
Write us in, Capitalist Pig, at kindafunny.com/KFGD and let us know if you'd be interested.
You can also
or tell Cool Greg in the chat.
Direct message me on the forums. I don't need a million kids on Kinda Funny. Call me. It's me, Capitalist Pig. I look like John Vignacchi. Is that it?
That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily for Thursday, October 12th. 2017. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can watch it live on Twitch. You can get it later on YouTube. You can support us on Patreon. You can support us on Twitch. You can do anything you damn well please. Tomorrow it's going to be Tim or Andy. I haven't talked to who it's going to be. I'll figure that out. Andrea, of course, going to be in Tulsa. Go see her if you're there. We'll be playing Friday the 13th tomorrow. Come see us there. Cool Greg's excited. Can't wait to see it. Also, Cool Greg's got a video up on youtube.com/kindafunny where we surprise him to go, tell him he's going to go interview Shane McMahon, and then he goes interviews a bunch of wrestlers. Even if you don't care about WWE 2K18 or wrestling in general, watch it just to see Cool Greg get surprised and freak out, because that's cute. Andrea.
Yes, Greg.
Good luck. Be safe.
Thank you.
Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.